This legitimately is a terrible movie if you're a serious person. There are people that couldn't watch this that would be 10, 15 minutes in. They're like, this is nonsense. Let's do something that means something.
I like how he did it to you so like he knows everyone's watching him.
Yeah, like really sneaky. America is anesthetized. We have all these things to keep us from going forward with reality. And she goes out and closes the door, and then you hear, goodbye.
After the door closes.
Oh my God.
Welcome to The Real Generation Gap. My name is Shane Schuldmeyer.
And I'm Fred Satilli.
And today we are reviewing Asteroid City by Wes Anderson.
Some people are just fun. And when you have a person devoted to fun like Wes Anderson, you get something like Asteroid City. After having watched his movie Moonrise Kingdom, I had some idea of what to expect. With a quality that reminded me of the sarcastic view of life, typically as seen by Woody Allen and so well portrayed in The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, Wes Anderson continues to brand his style that I fell in love with watching The Grand Budapest Hotel. If you want to say, oh my God, about every 60 seconds, Asteroid City is the pure fun movie for you. And what a fun movie to review.
You know, I really love... Wes Anderson's probably my favorite director. And this movie was fun, but I found it was also pretty confusing. It was hard for me to follow at points. Did you feel that way at all?
No.
Not at all?
No, because I really tuned in.
Cool. Yeah.
When I especially because we're studying this, it's not like I was eating and running around the house or anything, so I really hunkered down and I tried to grasp it. And you're right. In the very beginning, when you see a black and white scene, the Twilight Zone, what's his name, the narrator?
Bryan Cranston.
Bryan Cranston, right, who's in like 82 movies.
Yeah.
The way he describes the fact that they're making a movie and in the black and white part is the off-the-set part.
Yeah.
You haven't seen the incredible color, and the color is like a Roadrunner cartoon. Yeah. So he says, this is the story, this is what we're doing, this is how we're doing it, and here we go.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it explodes on with the
color, yeah. So the black and white essentially is the behind the scenes making of the movie, correct?
Yeah, right.
And then when we get to the color, that is the movie.
Right, but the color part is so real that you can't imagine that those people are actors acting in a movie.
It's hard to tell.
You buy it completely that this is really happening, that there really is a place, Asteroid City, there is a meteorite, they're having the convention of the space cadets and the geeks, whatever they call that convention.
The brainiacs.
The brainiacs and the space cadets.
Yeah.
And these people come there and they're so crazy and way out, but even though they are, because of the context of the story, you totally buy it.
Yeah.
So you forget that that's a movie set and they're all actors.
They're actors.
Until somebody steps out of the scene into the
there's
black
even
and white.
scenes where it goes from like color and the total
like
Wes
a split
Anderson
screen.
style. Yeah, and they walk
screen.
in. But yeah, that's kind of one of the first things I want to talk about is how this is so meta. A movie within a movie, actors portraying actors, playing roles. It's very deep and kind of plays with your head. And was that something that you were kind of thinking as you watched it, or you just kind of like, whatever?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Totally. I'm trying to get into the mind of the writer.
Okay, yeah.
Who the heck would write this? What's he doing here?
What's he
doing, right? And you don't know because the stuff is coming so fast and furious. Things are happening. Like I said in my intro, every 60 seconds you're going, oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. They're showing you visual things or stuff happening in the background.
And that's a whole nother thing. Wes Anderson's very iconic style, his artistic style.
Right.
He goes from like, I love how he has like wide shots where all the characters are still talking, but it's just one wide shot. And then he'll just cut to an extreme close-up of like a cigarette being lit or whatever they're doing. And then he'll go back to that wide shot. Or at times he'll have like a split screen with two people on the phone, but it's very symmetrical. Everything is very symmetrical in his artistic style. And he's great with colors too. And I like your shirt. I can see you're on theme with Asteroid City.
Absolutely. Yeah. This is where it took place.
Yeah, exactly.
Out in the desert. This shirt's been in the desert many years, many years.
I can tell by the shoulders.
Right. It's a well-deserted shirt. Now, when you said they zoom in on a guy lighting a cigarette, the first thing that really took me out was they're getting gasoline at the gas station. The guy's trying to light a cigarette with a Zippo lighter. It takes place in 1955.
Okay. Yeah.
So he's doing it. And he can't get the spark, and he opens it up, and the gas guy takes the thing out of the car, and he just splashes some gasoline on the lighter, and then puts it back in, and then the guy lights the cigarette. I went, wow, that was really a funny, impossible. Who would do that? Who would think of that? And both guys were totally casual. Like the guy just pumped it, then he lit the cigarette.
I love his dialogue. I love, like you said, it's so casual. And his dialogue has such a unique style as well. And he always seems to, most of the movies I've seen, he has kids in it, kids. And he always gives them adult-like, I don't want to say drama, but like adult-like dialogue. And like their conversations are very adult-like and personable and relatable for kids. And I just love that. It makes it so fun. Was this your first Wes Anderson movie? Or
No. I love the Grand Budapest Hotel.
Okay.
I actually had a party at my house where people came over and we had food. We watched the Grand Budapest Hotel.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. When you had your little party, was that your first time seeing it?
No. That was a result. I saw it and went like, okay.
I gotta have people over.
I have a friend, a guy from India who's a movie maker.
Okay.
And I say he's got to see this.
Yeah.
He's got to see this because he watches really offbeat stuff.
Okay.
Everything he suggests to me is you're not going to get that from anybody else.
Okay.
So he's a source of that. But when you were talking a moment ago about the characters, Wes Anderson introduces you to the character and then the problem that goes with the character.
Yeah.
So here's Scarlett Johansson and here's the problem. Here's Tom Hanks and here's the problem. It's that way for everybody so that exponentially or geometrically, the people come in and the problems come with them. So there's constantly more and more.
I love that too because every character has their own little character arc or development or their own little quirk.
And a side story with at least one or two other characters.
Yes.
So there's the big conflict, but these two guys are struggling, these people are struggling, and nobody was funnier or more, I don't even know, not iconic, but the three little girls.
Oh, they were great.
They were a tribe.
Yeah,
they had a common goal, they had a common motivation. They were going through, and they didn't care about all the adults. And little kids don't care about the adults. Like when you go to Thanksgiving, the adults are doing their thing. The kids are completely oblivious to it. They're doing their thing.
Yeah.
And that's how the little girls were.
As what's his name calls them, the Three Little Witches.
The Three Little Witches, yeah.
That's hilarious.
But they were, when confronted with the adults, they exercised their power. That's why they were the witches. So they would say, look, we're going to do this. No. The three of them would have an absolute fit. And they would get their way. And it would be that way. So that insight is really cool.
And the cast as a whole was... Wes Anderson typically has, some of the reoccurring people in his movies, but this one had Jeff Goldblum, Steve Carell, Bryan Cranston, and they all had small, like Jeff Goldblum was the alien, and it was so quick. But I love that he has these big actors, and he puts them in small roles, and they fit the role perfectly.
And then the opposite with Margot Robbie.
Exactly.
Right? She had a very small part. Then she became Barbie.
Yes.
In current life.
Yeah.
So when I watched it, I was like, is that Barbie?
Yeah.
That is Barbie.
It took me a second to catch on,
I couldn't remember her real name. Because Barbie, that's her now.
Yeah.
So, that Ed Norton.
Ed Norton
was...
his cast are... Ed Norton's a reoccurring Wes Anderson actor.
Of course.
And was Bill Murray in this one?
No, he was supposed to be, but the scene was cut.
Really?
Yeah. I read that like in a review thing or something.
Okay, cool. Yeah, Bill Murray wasn't in this one.
I saw the scene with Bill Murray like on a YouTube video. So separately.
And then Jason Schwartzman, right?
Yeah. Well,
he's in a bunch. Rushmore, I believe. Yeah. Have you seen Rushmore?
No. And that's funny because I came tonight with a Rushmore shirt on. Yeah.
Rushmore's actually probably... Royal Tenenbaums is good too. Those are two good Wes Anderson movies. Just a great cast, and like I said, I love that. he has these A-listers playing small roles. Like, it just makes it more fun.
Right. There's another one too that I'm forgetting. There was somebody that just appeared, and they had a few lines. I'll think of it maybe in a minute. But it's when that happens.
Oh yeah, we got this right here.
Oh, now see, this is the. Oh, look at Margot Robbie.
Yeah.
This is.
Oh, Maya Hawke. She's from Stranger Things. She's getting a little popular.
Right.
Was Jake Ryan in Grand Budapest?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
But you see, Maya Hawke, that's the kind, we talked about that last week when we did Forbidden Planet, the classic beauty.
Yes.
Like her beauty compared to Scarlett Johansson, like I liked her more.
Okay.
If you had those two in that movie, if I had to pick one of those two in that movie to be on a deserted island with, it would have been her.
See, I love Scarlett Johansson.
Well, obviously, I told you when you decided to do this, I said, I'll watch any movie with Scarlett Johansson in it, right?
Yeah.
But she's a glamorous movie star.
Yeah.
Where the other one's more like Donna Reed.
Okay, yeah.
Or somebody like that, or Gene Tierney.
Yeah. And I like Scarlett Johansson's character in this movie. Mm-hmm. Well, the role she plays in Asteroid City.
My favorite moment, Augie, is he's a photographer.
Photographer, yep.
Right. So he takes a picture of her, and she says, I'd like to see that before you print it or sell it. And he says, okay. And then he takes a picture of the alien. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But he takes a picture of the alien, and then he develops the pictures. And she says, I'd like to see the picture. And he says, look, this is the picture of the alien. She goes, the picture of me.
Yeah,
She's so selfish. It's an alien.
Yeah, I also when she asked, like, is it in focus? Something along the lines of, like, is it in focus? Like, I'm a photographer. Of course it's in focus. Yeah. Like, that's what I do. Yeah. It's very sarcastic.
But the interesting part, speaking of these stars, the alien was an animated thing.
So it was...
But it was played by Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah.
And you could actually, even though there's no sign of Jeff Goldblum, you could sort of tell it was him. Yeah. It was like the way he moved and stuff was like, oh my God, that is Jeff Goldblum. Like, how does he do it? He somehow, his character... I just watched him in a Jurassic Park movie, and his character is so strong. When you see him, you can't think of anything that it's him.
There he is.
Yeah. That's funny. But that's the stage.
Yeah, that's the stage
part.
The animated version of him.
Right. So
you could tell still. Yeah.
So that's what was hard for people to realize. Maybe you said you struggled with some of this stuff. It was originally a stage show, but now it's a movie. But they showed you the stage show stuff during the movie. Yeah. So
we're talking about the alien. What do you think the alien meant to the movie? It was that's kind of something I was a little confused about. Like, what is it trying to represent?
It was just a random, inexplicable element. So he came down. Everybody looked at the ship, like Close Encounters, right? Yeah. The ship came down. And then I loved it. Later on, the ship was in a box, like in the prop department, just thrown in a box like spaceship. So, and the guy's wife is divorcing him. She says, "Did you make the green spaceship?" Yeah, we shot that the other day.
Yeah. That's funny.
But they come down. Everybody's in awe. They're all looking at him. The military's there. The whole town's there, and it's the space cadet kids. So that they're in their element.
Yeah.
And the ladder comes down, and the alien. Now, when they first showed the asteroid in the steel cage. I thought the asteroid was the size of this table, and the steel cage was this big. Right, it turned out it was like the size of a softball. Yeah. So he comes down, he just takes the cage off. So now the thing's completely
I like how he did it to you so like he knows everyone's watching him.
Yeah, like really sneaky.
Yeah.
But why?
Yeah.
But that was the Jeff Goldblum part. Like he would do that. Yeah. Like nobody look, everybody don't look, look over there.
Yeah.
Like and he takes the cage off and he takes the little asteroid. And then it was, what was it? It was the Arid City asteroid or something, I think they called it. And he takes it, and then the ladder just goes back up on the ship. Everybody's just standing there frozen. And he leaves, and the kids are like, he took the asteroid. Like, was it his? Like,
it doesn't explain. That's what I'm saying. What does it?
And then he brought it back.
Yeah, and then he brought it back, and he engraved it. Right.
Yeah.
You don't think in Wes Anderson's mind that meant anything? Maybe because it was so meta, everything is a thing within a thing. I try to start thinking like maybe it's Archie's referencing like the death of his wife. Maybe it had something to do. And you were saying like unexpected, events.
I try not to read stuff in. I try not to make up
Narratives,
like my own idea and then inject it in as if it's the idea.
Yeah.
So that's just an unexplained thing for me.
And same with the reoccurring chase scene.
Oh yeah.
What do you think that?
Yeah, like,
do you don't think it represented anything, or it was meant?
It was.
To...
I'll tell you what made it great.
Yeah.
No matter how weird, in the beginning of the movie, there's a guy in a getaway car and a cop car chasing him, and they're shooting at each other, and there's a motorcycle cop behind him.
And it's
That's
very
Spielberg.
1950s, bing bing, like
1955,
yeah.
right? And you know why this thing took place in September in 1955, and I took place in August of 1955. So that's why it was like, oh yeah. So I was a month old, right? But they showed it in the beginning. It was just a silly side thing. But then in the middle of the movie, with all of this going on, they ride through the city again, and they're still shooting at each other. Yep. And then after it's all said and done, and everybody goes home, and the place completely returns to normal, one more time, the guy goes through, and they're shooting at him. And so it was a real, like, for their perception, all they were doing was the cop in the getaway car.
Yeah.
Like, all the rest of the stuff didn't matter to them. And I thought that was interesting. And the same thing with the Roadrunner. The little Roadrunner, right? And they had the sign break for Roadrunners and beep, 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 went across. Yeah. And then, like I said, the cartoon coloring of the movie. I mean, look at that. That's a scene. Those clouds and that blue sky and everything. That's a real Roadrunner. I mean, look at the landscape.
Oh, totally looks like Wile E. Coyote.
And then they actually had like a real bird Roadrunner.
Yeah.
Like run by. So, yeah, that was miraculous. Look at the paint job.
Oh, and then there's your the highway to nowhere.
Right, the overpass to nowhere out in the middle of the desert. A perfect, because there's a government research facility that's on the side of the road. There's no sidewalks, or you would just turn off the road. Yeah. There's no reason to put this, but yet there they are. So what we glossed over, and it's when we get involved like this, it's easy to gloss over giant elements, but they were having a convention there to celebrate the asteroid.
Yes.
And they had the group of people, the space cadets. What was the other word?
Brainiacs.
Yeah, the Brainiacs. Right, the kid had Brainiac embroidered on his shirt. My mother did that.
Yeah.
And so they had this half a dozen kids that made these incredible inventions.
Yeah.
Like way more advanced than anything we have now.
Today, yeah.
The one kid had like a disintegrator.
Yeah.
And
like
they'd
a laser.
throw something up in the air. Like, and the military guys. And of course, everything they were doing was Brainiac stuff. They were like when the kid jumped off the roof. It's an experiment that he jumped off the roof.
And then the one kid had the projector on the moon.
Right. Yeah, he was able to print anything. It was the ultimate marketing thing. And at the end, when he had the affair with his teacher, he put a heart with their initials on it. Like he carved that into the moon. So that was so great. And when they had that contest, the name contest. So 6 of them were sitting in a circle. And
They're
one person says a name, and then you say his name and yours.
Yeah.
And then the third guy says his name, your name, and that name. Then the fourth guy does it, and they do this going around and around. And they started doing that kind of early on in the movie. And then a half an hour later, when you forgot that, somebody just casually looking for something opened the door and looked in the room, and they were still doing it.
Still playing the game.
Only
and
now it was like 100 names.
Yeah.
And the one kid said, "This is too easy."
Yeah.
And the girl said, "Oh, okay, we'll name them backwards."
Yeah.
And he rattled them off backwards.
They're like, we usually play with normal kids, and by now I've won. Yeah.
We play with normal kids. So that whole group of kids and everything they did, that added another incredible dimension, because one of my favorite lines in the movie was the teacher said, "Well, here's Jupiter and Neptune," and he says, "But now there's an alien."
Yeah.
Space is normal, but now there's an alien. And she says, "Well, we're really not going to talk about that." He says, "He may know the meaning of life. There may actually be one."
Yeah.
And I love that so much. There might actually be a meaning to that for them.
Yeah, that was a fun scene. So what do you think was the meaning of the whole movie? Because there's like the line with Archie. That's his name, right? Archie. He's
Augie?
Augie. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Augie. Yeah, Augie. he was saying, am I playing this part right? Am I doing it right? Am I doing it right? What was the scene where everyone's like, can't wake up or something? I did not get that.
I love that so much.
I did not get that at all.
Before we talk about that, what I liked was the director of the play. He's living on set. He never goes home. He's sleeping in the bedroom. He's eating the food. He's doing everything. He hasn't been home in many months. His wife is leaving him to have an affair with a baseball player. But she gives him advice on how to direct the movie.
Oh, yeah.
And then she says, look, when this character is leaving that character, have him say goodbye after she goes out of the room. And he says, okay, that's a good idea. I'll do that. And she says, okay, well, this is it for us then. So I'm leaving. And she goes out and closes the door. And then you hear, goodbye.
After the door closes.
God.
Yeah.
So
that's cool.
That was a whole fun thing. But I really tripped. The question that you just asked, the meaning of why can't you wake up?
Yeah.
What was the exact quote?
Can't fall asleep if you're already awake or something like that.
Right.
Can't wake up if you're not asleep. Something, one of those. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't wake up if you never go to sleep.
Yeah.
That was the outro music.
Yeah, it got really weird real fast.
The song, you can't wake up if you haven't gone to sleep.
And everyone starts chanting it, and then some people start falling asleep.
Right.
I did not get what was going on with that.
And I looked at that, and I said, that's the problem with our country. Everybody is saying, when are you people going to wake up and, not let the government do this horrible stuff to you? When are you going to wake up and take back the government? And I said, that's a wrong concept. The people are not asleep. They're anesthetized. America is anesthetized. We have all of these things to keep us from going forward with reality. Whether it's, there's all kind of dope.
Distractions.
Yeah, and all kind of stuff to keep you where you don't want to go after the people that are the tyrants that are ruining our world. So it's not that we have to wake up from sleep; it's we have to shake off the dope of anesthesia. Everybody's doped in America. Everybody's drugged. Everybody's got something that keeps them from not sleeping or waking. It's a different state, and that's how. I'm telling you, I tripped a little bit because I couldn't figure that out either.
Okay, so this is what you personally just perceived. Like that's what came to your mind, not what you think Wes Anderson was trying to drive.
Well, this is the thing I said. You don't know where ideas come from, right? You really don't. Like you just think of something and you don't know why you think of it. So I'm watching it and they're saying you can't wake up if you don't fall asleep, and that's when I started thinking about the world and how. No, everybody doesn't wake up. No matter what they put on the news, nobody wakes up. It's not that they're asleep, they need to wake up. It's they're doped, they're drugged. And there's all kind of hope that way.
Yeah.
And so I kind of adopted that as a new psychological idea. Like I'm not going to tell anybody anymore, like, wake up.
Yeah.
It'll be like, stop being under the influence. Stop being under the influence. So even though that's got nothing to do with this movie whatsoever, and it's a completely random thing.
But that's what came to mind.
Well, I see it was an inspiration.
Yeah.
I would have never thought of that if I didn't watch the movie. Now I have a whole different psychological approach on the condition of the population, and it's a result of that movie.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you brought that up. What did you think about that? How did you feel about that?
I feel like I was trying way too hard to make something of it that nothing came to my mind. I was really like you said, we're researching these movies, and I was like, what is he trying to get across to me? What does this mean? Especially with the context of the script, because up to that point, I can't think of anything to relate to that.
Right. It was another whole random thing.
Yeah, it was a completely random thing.
Wes Anderson is good at throwing out random things.
It almost felt like culty, the way they were saying things back to him, and they were in that room together. Some of them were falling asleep, some were awake saying it.
They were keeling over.
Yeah.
I mean, people were just dropping off asleep.
I really got nothing for that. I have no idea. And that's why I kind of said I love Wes Anderson normally, but this one was kind of weird. This one was kind of hard for me to relate to. It was.
Well, I'll tell you what. You got to watch it a couple more times.
And I was thinking that if I watch this again, I'll probably connect a few more dots.
Because it was way too much to take in one gulp.
It was a lot.
Way too much. And I was totally focused, doing this. I mean, I was taking notes on things that I liked, and I was pausing it, saying, wow, that was awesome.
Yeah.
And when they had the real estate machine, it was just so over the top.
Yeah, that was funny.
They have a line of 6 vending machines, and
They're all kind of
drinks,
quacky.
snacks.
Some are normal,
right.
some are quacky. Yeah.
And then one in the middle was real estate. Mm-hmm. And then I thought, well, that's just a silly,
Oh, there it is. Yeah.
Yeah, just look, snacks, right? Real cigarettes. Real estate, well, that's just a goofy, quirky thing. But then later in the movie, it was totally explained. The guy comes over and says, oh, would you like some real estate? If you put $10 in quarters in here, you get a plot about half the size of a tennis court somewhere out in the desert. That whole idea could have been cut from the movie, but Wes Anderson puts it in because he had the idea.
And then at the end,
he can produce his ideas.
He said he was kind of, at the end, he changes his pitch, kind of, he's like, saying there's more of a timeshare.
Right.
And I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, you don't actually own the land.
Yeah, that's so
you just have a share in the community.
So today, yeah. I thought that was funny. But overall, what did you think of this movie? As a whole, how did you feel watching it? And what do you think of it as
Well, I have two really diametric opinions.
Okay.
If you like wacky, quirky stuff, and you're entertained the way this movie is meant to entertain you, it's a masterpiece. If you're the kind of person that's more meat and potatoes, and you would rather see Saving Private Ryan, well, this movie is just a crock of crap. It's just a wacky, stupid stuff with no reason and no... You and I both agreed there were things in there that had no relevance.
Context,
It's like, why did you put that in? I mean, just completely random stuff. So for a great many audiences, this movie's a mess.
Yeah.
Usually I give a 10 because I fall in love with everything and I appreciate the work and everything that went into it. Look at that cast. Look at those people. Oh, the guy, the general.
Oh, yeah, the general's funny. Yeah. The general was a great character. Jeffrey Wright. I wasn't too familiar with his name, but I've seen him in Westworld. Have you seen Westworld?
Right, yeah.
Westworld's awesome. Yeah, he was great for this role too. I always wonder how Wes Anderson gets all these actors to be in his movies, even like Steve Carell. He kind of had a small role, and like, why would you want to do this movie? You're not the lead. But I think they see something in Wes Anderson's creativity and his artistic style.
Of course they do.
Yeah.
Of course they do. It's cool to be in something like this, and it's not demanding.
It's not,
You don't have to go on a location somewhere and commit a certain part of your life. You have a very short script. You come on, you do your thing, and you're out of there, and you're connected with all the rest of those stars.
Yeah, and together as a whole,
I used to love the Coen brothers.
Okay.
They made all those movies that were similar. The one about the pet show.
No.
Best of Show.
I don't know.
Oh, it's about the dog show in New York and all the wacky stuff that happens behind stage called Best of Show.
Okay.
But the Coen brothers were the same way. They had this ensemble of actors, and to be able to join into that was like joining the Rat Pack with Frank Sinatra.
Cool,
like you couldn't get in there, and then they invited you in. You had to take it.
Yeah.
You had to do it. It's like being offered a part on Star Trek. It's so iconic that
like, why would you not?
Yeah,
what do you got to lose?
Yeah. So I think Wes Anderson's cachet is really strong. He's obviously unique. He has star power of his own.
Yeah.
When he calls you, it's like being called by Hitchcock or Otto Preminger or somebody where you're taking that call.
Yeah. And I know personally, or not personally, but when he was in college, he was a roommate with Owen Wilson. So that was kind of like they're both their ticket into film. They did a movie together. And Wes was actually going to school for psychology. So that, to me, that kind of shows, his insight into characters and character development and just having people act weird and different.
Right. It's something he was always interested in.
Always interested in.
The interaction of human beings.
Yes.
And for me, I love that, right? I read that stuff all the time. And I really appreciate it. So when a movie like this or the Grand Budapest Hotel, it was the same. It was obviously in Budapest, Hungary. It wasn't out in the West. But the same thing. Incredible characters interacting with each other, doing things that, in your own life, I don't know I don't know you well enough that I know your friends or anything, but don't you have like wacky friends that are real characters?
Oh, of course, yeah. I have very few friends, and the few friends I have, they're all very different and weird. Yeah.
Right, and it's the same thing for me, but because I'm a million times older than you, I have a million times more. I have like experiences, I've had different careers, whole different bags of people. And it's, life is so much for us. Life is so much about people. Most of our interaction, we make our living dealing with people. We're not farmers. Farmers, they have to deal with the land and the crops and that kind of thing, and manufacturers might have to deal with different kind of resources, but when you're in communication, it's all people. And this guy
nails it.
Yeah, he's proposing ideas. He's inspiring ideas. He made me think of 2 crazy ideas, which I told you both of those. I said, hey, what about this? What if this happened? And that inspiration is hard to come by. It's valuable.
Hard to come by. Yeah,
because a lot of life is dull. A lot of life you're sitting in traffic.
Yeah, and no, Anderson definitely inspired me to just get into filmmaking. I went to film school not because of him, but he definitely inspired some of my artistic styles and my ideas for sure.
He's obviously one of your favorites. There must be a reason for that.
I just love the artistic style. I love the symmetry. I love the colors. I love the characters, and like how the dialogue is so different from everything else.
Oh yeah.
Love it.
Real impossible to predict what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And that's why I said in my intro, if you want to say, oh my God, every 60 seconds, you're gonna.
So yeah, you were saying you have 2 totally different reviews of this movie. What's your number rating?
Well, that's why I'm giving it a 7.5.
7. Oh, I see you working in the points now. The 0.5.
Well, that's because it's halfway. The 2 prospective audiences. Like I'm sure that not everybody would like Tropic Thunder, but the hell with those people. This legitimately is a terrible movie if you're a serious person. There are people that couldn't watch this, that would be 10, 15 minutes in, they're like, this is nonsense. Let's do something that means something. Let's do something.
So 7.5 for the general public. What's the Fred Satelli?
Oh, I totally loved it.
Cool.
Because it's inspiring to me. And it was so thought-provoking for me all the way through, how to stay on my toes.
And I do like that. I like to be on my toes. I like to be like, what is going on? Working a little bit, trying to figure things out. For me, though, I agree, 7.5. It's not my favorite Wes Anderson movie, but I enjoyed it. I was left a little confused, but I love him. I love his style. I'm having fun just watching sometimes, not even listening to the script,
Right.
So
yeah, I didn't approach it that way. When you watch a Western, you watch it that way. You watch the story unfold. You don't become personally involved in the story. But in your case, if it's Shane, then you do. But any other one, you don't. But this one really drew me in. It's
especially Bryan Cranston at the beginning, that drew me in for sure.
Considering the setting of the movie and the big blue sky and all the primary color art that was in there, when they go to the black and white thing like that, it's such a dark shift. And I found that once again, the dark part, the black and white part was so sinister. Because he was really serious describing the movie.
Everyone was really serious in the black and white.
Right, and then everything was totally wacky in the color.
Yeah.
So it was a real, Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz landing in Oz, and now it's in color.
I like that.
That's the same,
wow, I didn't even think about that. That's a good way to put it, too.
Right. So, okay, well, we're agreement on 7.5, which is
our first agreement on the movie. Very nice.
And that's Asteroid City.
That's Asteroid City by Wes Anderson. Thank you for watching The Real Generation Gap. I've been Shane Schuldmeyer.
I am Fred Satelli.
I guess I am Shane Schuldmeyer as well. And thanks again for watching, guys. As always, please like, comment, and subscribe. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you thought about Asteroid City. And leave us some recommendations for what we should review next. Thanks again for watching. We'll catch you at the next one.